Alright guys, so guess what? Today I'm installing the sub for my truck. It's a Kicker Soundgate. It's the one that I unboxed in that other video. Here it is, underneath all of this foam. There you can see it. So I'm going to be installing it in my 2016 GMC Sierra 3500 Denali. And first place we start, under the hood. So here it is, stock engine compartment. As you can see, down here on the firewall, there's like a little nub. See that rubber nub right there? That is going to be the entry point for the wiring loom. So I need to first cut that and then run that wiring loom through and then into the cabin, and then from there I'll be installing it underneath the trim panels. So these little trim panels right here, I'm going to pull this all off and I'm going to run it all the way back underneath this rear seat, under here, and then it's going to go under along the back, and then right on this hump right here I'm going to slit that, and that's where the one of the braces for the subwoofer is going to go through, and it's going to bolt onto that center seat belt tie down. So I will start filming as soon as I make that slit. Alright, so I lied. The first step was not to make the slit into the grommet that goes into the body. The first step was to disconnect driver's side battery cable, and then I'll show you the passenger side battery cable right there. So that's the first step, disconnect those. And then it says to go in here and disconnect, or to take off these driver's side trim panels. So I'm going to show you. I just grab it and gently pop it up. I'm going to do this and film it after. Step 2, remove the driver's side trim panels. As you can see, they just pop out. There's the front, there's the back. Step 3, remove the red cover over this red hot terminal, and then remove the black cover over the power distribution terminal on the passenger side battery. Step 4, remove the fuse from the fuse holder on the amplifier and subwoofer power harnesses. Connect the ring terminals of both harnesses to the power lug identified in this picture right here. And when you look at these two power harnesses, this is the only fuse holder, and guess what? I opened it and there's no fuse in here. You just have to trust me because I can't do it with one hand. Step 4, actually only connect this red power wire from the harness here with the fuse on it to this first lug on the power distribution block on the passenger side battery. And in order to loosen up this bolt with a socket, you have to remove this bolt and this bolt so that you can move this bar over just a little bit. So I already did that. I'm going to put the cover back on. I'm going to route the harness down the firewall, and I'm going to make the slit into the grommet. Okay, so as you can see, I've routed the power line along the back of the firewall here, zip tying it along. You can see that red wire right there. Ran it all the way down the harness, zip tied it, and then here it is. I'm gonna cut the little nipple now and feed it in through the firewall. Alright guys, so I got the wiring harness run through the firewall, and let me tell you, it's sort of a pain in the ass because it comes out above a electrical box inside, or underneath this electrical box right here. It comes out above that where the main wiring harness is, so you kind of have to reach up there and do some kind of weird maneuvers to get your hand in there, and then there's a big rubber grommet that you have to kind of pull out so that you can get this wire in. So now I'm gonna run this down and hook it up to the new harness, and then remove, let me see, where is it? There's a nut that I'm supposed to remove here and hook up the ground to, but I'll show you that once I figure it out. Once you get that power wire through the firewall, you want to hook up this black connector that they supply with it. As you can see, I've already connected it. And then you have the other wiring harness here that you're going to run back to the subwoofer. And you have a black ground wire right here, this other signal wire, and then you have the connector for the power that's going to go to the sub, and you're going to plug that in just like that. Okay, next step, connect the ground wire of the harness to this bolt right here in the wall next to the parking brake, and then I'm going to have to find where the wires are for the speakers, and I'm going to have to cut the wiring harness open and splice them in. Alright guys, so this is a pain in the ass. just like everything else. You need to cut this wiring harness open right next to the parking brake and look for the blue wire and the blue or the brown with blue stripe wire that are intertwined. You can kind of see them right there. Of course, in my case, they were in the back, so I had to cut the wiring harness open with an exacto knife and then carefully pull those wires to the front. So now I'm going to have to install a T-tap on both of those wires, tape it back up, put it back together, and zip tie it back, and then connect that to the harness. Alright, so after another pain in the ass of trying to splice these wires in, as you can kind of see, what a pain in the ass. Now you just got to open up this black cover here and route the wires underneath and all the way to the back. Okay, after you get the wire run through, you want to put the panels back on. As you can see, I actually took these panels off so that I could run the wire in the wire tray all the way down. I ran it, brought it out here by the seat belt, and then I ran it up along underneath the carpet and then popped the wiring harness right out there where the sub is going to be hooked up. I'm going to wait to tidy all this stuff up till I install the sub and make sure it works. And then after I do that, I'll zip tie everything back together and put the panels back in, and that should be it. Alright, so the next step is to remove this first nut here in the front in the rear passenger seat, and then go to the center seatbelt receptacle nut and remove that. And that's an 18mm, and then you're going to make a slit in the little hump here right above the body so that you can slide the bracket on the subwoofer enclosure through and put it over that stud. I'm going to do that next. Alright, so I got the wiring harness underneath. I had to actually reroute a little bit. I had it going all the way back to the wall there, and it didn't give me enough length to connect it over at the sub where I installed it right behind those center pedestals. So I'm going to hide it underneath the carpet, but right now I just want to test it. Guys, so I finally got the subwoofer tested out. It works great. I got the wires run underneath the carpet over here, part way in the back, and it is all snugged up. I torqued the bolts on the seat and on the seat belt fasteners. I have the rear trim back in, and then the only thing left to do here is tidy up these wires and put the trim back in here. This is it. Fits under the seat. It's really discreet. Fits perfectly. A really nice piece. And the base is really worth the money. You know, for under $700 if you do it yourself, this is a great investment, I think, if you like music. Okay, I'll finish up. Well, there you go. All wrapped up. I put the trim back in, tested it again, everything works good. You can see all the wires just fit right behind the trim panel, so as long as it doesn't interfere with the parking brake, there shouldn't be any issues. Nice clean install. I like it. I like it. Definitely worth the money, guys. If you're looking at a sub for your 15 or 16 Sierra, I look into the Kicker Soundgate.